In this video, you'll find the best moist banana bread muffins recipe that is so easy to make with only 3 bananas. No dry muffins here. Also, I decorate them into adorable Rilakkuma bears because adults need cute things too. A bonus about this recipe is that it is a butter-free, dairy-free banana bread recipe.
Hello you, it's me, Rox the Rockstar Bakes.
If you're new, my passion is helping you make sweet treats.
And this tastes like a classic banana bread. There are too many times when I have an odd number of bananas, grapeseed oil, 3 bananas, and other stuff. One great thing about this recipe is that it uses oil instead of butter because honestly, a lot of the times when I make my banana bread, it's late at night when I find those bananas in the back of the fridge. Oh darn, should I throw this out? And oh man, I'm out of butter and I really don't feel like driving to the grocery store right now. Let's get into it.
To make the very best banana bread, it is great to start out with these gnarly, overripe bananas. These older ones will work out great. Overripe bananas will keep the bread tender and packed full of yumminess.
Luckily for me, we always have these around. The perfect ones are dark yellow with lots of browning.
If your bananas have strings, I like to remove them because even though they naturally happen a little, they leave a greater vine effect in the bread if left. Use 3 large ripe bananas, 4 if you want an extra moist banana bread. Can I tell you? My partner told me this is the best banana bread he's ever had. It's okay if there are brown spots, but you can cut away the black parts if there are any that bother you. Place the bananas in a large microwave-safe container. I'm partial to the measuring cup because it makes it easier to separate out the liquid. Cover the bananas in press and seal and poke 7 times. Poke, poke, poke. Microwave for 3.5 minutes in 30-second increments so the banana juice doesn't overflow. Then separate the liquid and set aside. This amount varies by banana size and by project, but I'll give you a tip in a minute on how to keep it more consistent. Mush the bananas. Mush up like crazy and then mush, 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 mush. Mash, 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 mash. Mush or smush? I noticed that after I started baking, I have one strong arm. It's kind of hilarious during the summers. Keep it up until the bananas are mostly liquefied. There are a few small chunks, but that's cool. I think this looks great, so I'm ready for the next step. So now, we're going to cook the banana liquid that we set aside in a pan on medium heat. The amount of liquid varies project by project, but it's usually around 3/4 of a cup before cooking. I cook this down to 1/4 cup of juice. The tip that I mentioned earlier has to do with this. You might be wondering, what if I accidentally cook this down to less than 1/4 cup? What should I do? Just add a little water until it's back to 1/4 cup so it's more consistent between recipes. The cooked banana juice smells a lot like Bananas Foster. Now we're going to get the batter together by incorporating the room temperature banana juice, slightly beaten eggs, vanilla extract, and oil. As always, all of the recipe proportions are in the description below. Mix until just incorporated. Add in white sugar, add in brown sugar. Use a spatula or sturdy whisk to get everything blended and creamy. Finally, add the dry ingredients, sifted flour, baking soda, and pink salt. Tip, make sure your baking soda leavener is fresh so the muffin or loaves rise. Mix until it is just incorporated so there are
no dry cupcakes. Cupcakes.
So I call these cupcakes because we're decorating and adding candy chocolate. If you're making muffins, line the cupcake pans. I thought it'd be so pretty to line with yellow liners. We eat with our eyes, so this signals banana. Let's distribute a little of the banana muffin banana bread batter. Plop, plop, plop. I use a scooper for the most even distribution. It's so fun. In a little, I'll show you this recipe distributed into a loaf pan.
The topping is optional, but it is so good that I recommend it for the non-bear version of these cupcakes.
If you opt for a cinnamon streusel layer in these muffin cupcakes, the mixture is super easy. Mix brown sugar, cinnamon, and blend grapeseed oil until it is very crumbly. I add a teaspoon or more of the crumble to each cupcake tin. Typically, butter is used to make a streusel. If you'd rather go that route, swap out 2 tablespoons of butter for the oil. It's so good with my recipe. Now I distribute the remaining batter. Plop. Here's an alternative version where I cover the top of the muffin with crumble for those who need immediate cinnamon flavor. I like to call these my cinnamon streusel covered muffins. Either way you made them, place these big boys in a preheated 350 degrees Fahrenheit oven for 23 to 27 minutes or until a toothpick comes out with 5 or less crumbs. Here you can see the cookie sheet that I baked the cupcakes for an even heat distribution. See, this is what it looks like too wet. It's worth the wait. You might be wondering, Rox, why are you baking at 350 degrees Fahrenheit when you usually bake cupcakes at 335 degrees Fahrenheit? This temperature helps give this a more dome shape. At 335 degrees Fahrenheit, I get a flatter top. See, this is just a few crumbs. Perfect. Cakes continue baking when they come out of the oven. These are nice and springy.
If you don't want to decorate these immediately, the best way to keep banana bread moist for days is to wrap it tightly in plastic wrap once they're cooled. Then take a second step to store it in a large Ziploc freezer bag. Stays fresh in the fridge for about a week.
For a loaf version, it's the same recipe but distributed into a different format. I line the loaf pan. I use the clips to prevent the liners from sinking in while I distribute the batter. Scoop some batter. Add some cinnamon crumble mixture.
If you want to add nuts, now's a good time.
I take a cup of whole nuts and chop them up. My partner loves to be able to taste the nuts, so I create this layer. Place the chopped nuts on a parchment-lined baking sheet to toast in the oven for 10 minutes at a preheated 325 degrees Fahrenheit. I think the size of the chopped nuts and the amount of toast is by preference.
I love walnuts, pecans, pistachios.
Then add the rest of the batter. I'd say the small loaves are about 80% full. I remove the clips before going in the oven. Not that you can't keep it there, but the batter does rise. I did have a little leftover batter, so I made a dozen mini cupcakes that my brother loved. I baked these 2 guys for 38 to 42 minutes. This can vary by oven and container you bake in. These were stone. And now to the decorations. It's easiest to print out a template and place a piece of parchment paper on top. The template serves as a guide and helps the pieces peel off when they're cool. You can use a candy melter or a microwave to melt the candy in 30-second increments. I put the melted piping candy in a piping bag and cut off the tip. I use white chocolate, sometimes candy melts, to make the muzzle of Rilakuma's mouth mound. When these are dry, I move the parchment paper over a little so I can see what they look like from the template. Then I pipe on the nose mouth with cocoa melts. On screen, I make brown eyes, but I also make an alternative in white that is easier to see against the crumble. You could use chocolate chips as eyes if you don't want to pipe something extra. For the ears, I make the yellow circles. I basically fill in the yellow portion of the ear template to gauge the correct size. I know Rilakuma's ears are 2 colors, but I think the circle gives the effect of the ear.
Now, it's time to add them.
These muffins are cooled and ready to be decorated. Look how nice and golden these are. These face pieces are cooled and ready to be used as decoration. To help the face pieces adhere, you'll want to add,
You guessed it,
melted chocolate to the back of the candy pieces because these will help all of the pieces stick. I start by adding the mouth because it will help give me a guide for the other pieces going around it. It's helpful to have nimble fingers for the eyes, but I did notice that it sometimes helps to use a toothpick to place the pieces. I place the ears like so. I made an alternative version where the Rilakkuma face and ears were more front-facing. Cute, but when I stored them in Ziploc bags, the ears would break off, so I like this new version that is more easily packable. By the way, quickly, this is what I do with the leftover unused candy melts. I pipe into blobs, I let cool, and I save them in plastic to use later. Here's the finished banana bread loaf. I made eyes in white too, so you could see those here. It's so cute. I wish I could show you both loaves side by side, but my partner took the other almost immediately. It smells and tastes so delicious. You can see the differentiated layers when it's sliced.
How cute is this?
These decorations and muffins hold up really well in the fridge, but keep them wrapped so they stay moist. Super cute detail. Beautiful. I recommend eating them within the first 3 days or freezing them. Now you can see what the plain and crumble decorated Rilakkuma banana cupcakes look like side by side. How much would you love a lemon poppy seed Rilakkuma cupcake and step by step? I know I'm definitely in the mood to eat that next. These are the perfect breakfast or snack all year round. So tasty.
Hit that bell notification to get the latest videos. Coming up is a cupcake idea playlist that I'm always adding videos to.
Okay, the only other tip that I have left is this. If you want chocolate chip banana bread muffins, flour 1 cup of chocolate chips with 1 tablespoon of flour and fold them into the batter. This helps evenly distribute the chocolate throughout the muffin. They won't all settle at the bottom of the cupcake tin. Thanks so very much for joining me.